Tony D and Little Joan with a screenwriter's rant on Bloodstar, a horror movie, or thriller, I guess you would say, about a sheriff who takes the law into his own hands. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books, links in the description. Comedy Horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys, books 1 through 15, available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. Actually, he doesn't really take the law into his own hands. He kind of just does whatever the F he wants. And so on his highway, there is one law. And basically, he just keeps harassing this woman until finally she's forced to fight him. And it's called Bloodstar because he just does horrible things to whoever he wants because you can't stop him because he's a cop. I kind of like the setup. It's a good setup. There's a lot of nuance to it. So the main character here, she is going back or traveling to, not to where the sheriff lives, but through there on a highway in the desert. And she is heading back to her ex, who apparently abused her in some way. So we've already got this woman she's been in a bad relationship. So that's kind of interesting because obviously she's going to turn the tails on the sheriff, and it will be sort of cathartic for her, I think, in some ways. It's also probably true that her ex gets brought into the mix at some point and isn't very helpful because he's an abuser. So it looks like through the course of this trailer, she does connect with a friend of hers who then the sheriff ends up killing. And he just won't let her go. He harasses her. Apparently he killed a woman before. And eventually she's on the run from him. And, it becomes a deadly game of cat and mouse, as it always does. I mean, it's good low budget premise because they could shoot it out in the desert. You got this old dusty diner. Everybody knows he's corrupt, but they don't really do anything about it. So it's not a bad premise at all. And I even like the title Bloodstar because he's got a star and he's getting his hands bloody. So first act, she's making this trip back to her ex. She's getting calls from her friends, don't do it. And she passes through this town, stops for gas. And the sticking point, and this is a nice little bit too, is she sees the sheriff and says, "Hi, officer," an innocuous greeting that anybody would make. And he corrects her and says, "No, I'm a sheriff." And she doesn't feel particularly moved because of his attitude to correct herself. And that irritates him, and that sort of sets him off initially. Then later she leaves the gas station. He, of course, pulls her over, harasses her, maybe shakes her down for money or whatever. And now she's sort of stuck in the town. Maybe she's waiting for money or a ride or whatever. And she's at a diner in the town, and the sheriff is there. I'm not exactly sure why. But long story short, it becomes a cat and mouse game as the sheriff tries to do horrible things to her. Eventually, it's deadly. He's trying to kill her. She has to defend herself. And finally, in the third act, I think she finally either gets him killed or kills him. Not sure which. This is the sort of movie could end a bunch of different ways. So let's see if there's a write-up. No, let's check the IMDb. I like the look of this a lot. It's a nice, looks like a nice tight movie with some layers in it. And you could do a lot with this movie. You could do a lot with the corruption of the cop. Young Latina petty thief. Oh, she's a petty thief. Driving through the New Mexico, finds herself the target of a psychopathic small-town sheriff who views his badge as a license to prey on vulnerable young women. She must use all her street smarts to survive. Lawrence Giacomelli is the director. Writers Lawrence Giacomelli, George Kelly, and Victoria Hinks Taylor. Yeah, sounds solid. Sounds solid. I would totally see this. 100%. I think it'd be a good thriller. Good, not a lot of stakes here. Not a lot of characters. You don't need a lot for a movie like this. Looks lean, mean. Yeah, I'm going to give it an upvote. What do you think of that? Boom. A rare upvote from yours truly. And that's it for me, Tony D. And Little Joan. Check us out on the green site, the orange site, and the black site for our other videos. We make 4 videos a day. Joan gets very salty in the other videos. Right, Joan? Right, Joan? All right. Next up for me, nothing going on this weekend, unfortunately. I will be at Baker's Place on Monday for my talk on how to hunt the Jersey Devil at 2 p.m. Check the links in the description for the rest of the shows later that week. We'll see you in the next one.